Hello everyone. So in this video tutorial, we are going to create a Python script that uses the AWS CLI to retrieve a list of public IP addresses of the available EC2 instance, and then format the output as a JSON object, as it is the mandatory requirement for any inventory script to act as a dynamic one. So you just need a script that generates a JSON output, which Ansible can pass upon. So without wasting much time on the theory part, let's quickly move to the script structure. So let's create a script and required editor of your choice. So ensure that the file have extension py. Now starting with the shebang character, it defines the line that tell the shell which interpreter to use to run a script. Now usr-bin env is a utility that searches the user environment for Python 3 interpreter. Proceeding with modules, subprocess module allowed to script to run other command line program or scripts. Rparse module provide a way to parse command line argument passed to the script. And finally, JSON module provide a way to work with the JSON data. Now create an argument parser object to pass command line arguments. You may refer previous video where we discussed that in detail. The link to that will be available in the notes section. Now add an optional flag to the argument parser object that allow the user to specify whether to count the number of servers or to print the output in JSON format. It will be later used inside condition as a count. Now -c and -" count will be just as an argument. Proceeding further, an action equals to store underscore true will be placed that will indicate that argument should be treated as a Boolean flag and value should be set to true. Now we'll set a required equal to false, indicate that argument is optional. And now destination is equal to count specifies the name of variable that will be used to store the value of that argument in the code. Now just repeat the lines and so that we do not have to rewrite the same lines again. So followed by calling the argument as list-host, or maybe start with the -- list first. Then change the variable as list. In the next line, the last argument will be list hosts, and the command line argument would be --list -hosts. So that allow the user to specify whether to output the JSON object. Now, starting with the binary, which we will be using with the help of the subprocess module. Now we'll simply perform a popen function and a popen operation, where we will simply call the AWS binary. So the AWS EC2 describe instances. It will be used and is the main command to retrieve information about EC2 instances. The query parameter allows you to specify a query with the JMES path language to filter and manipulate the output of the command. In our case, it will simply query the filters, the output to return only the public IP address of the instances. As you can see on the display as well. Now, once it's done, the output parameter specifies the format of the output. In our case, text format is used, which will return the output as a plain text. So, and all that command output will be stored inside a bash out variable. And obviously, the shell parameter will be true, and the standard output would be to subprocess pipe. So that is how you can simply use a subprocess command to execute a command and store the value inside a variable. Now, the output can have bytes and strings inside that. So if you do not remove that, it will cause some type of discrepancies. So we have to decode the byte string output from the AWS CLI command into a string. So we will simply use, in the last video, we will simply use a .decode function or .decode method that will help us with that. So Now, let's initialize the directory variable servers with the following three keys, which Ansible is going to use. Remember, it would be a dictionary. So the first key would be your meta, or you would say underscore meta. So it is a special key in Ansible inventory file that is used to define metadata about a host in the inventory. So here we are just simply putting empty host vars dictionary inside that. So now the second key would be my group. It will simply a name of a host group that you want to use. And inside that, we will simply keep an empty list of hosts as of now. So it would be a list parameter. And finally, we will place a local section. And this key will contain the loopback IP address of your local host. That would be 127.0.0.1. So now this server is simply a JSON. Remembering the syntax and proceeding further. Now simply add an extra check over here, because the output may contain new line character. So let's put a simple extra check to retrieve the output from the previous command. So this will simply check whether the output from the AWS CLI command contains the new line character. And if it is there in the last variable output, what it will do, it will simply split using \n as the delimiter. So in the new variable, we will simply put the old variable with the split function. Now, in case, if it is not there, then it should handle something else as well. So a simple else stanza that is going to tell us that if it is not there, simply split using the \n new line character, like the previous double \n. And the final output from any of the case will be assigned to the new variable that would be our bash out list. Now, once it's done, let's create an empty list to hold the server IP addresses. And we'll name it over here as server_list. Now, assign the list of server IP addresses, what we have retrieved from previous case, to this variable. So we'll do nothing, just the bash out list variable would be reassigned inside as a new variable as server list. We've already defined the list, so the values would be in the list format. Now let's add some error handling as well, so that we'll not face any errors. So it would simply a try block, which will simply attempt to remove any empty string from the server list available. I would say a server list variable. So it will simply remove any of the empty string if it find. Now, if there are no empty strings, the pass statement is executed and the program will continue. So the except will look for a value error, and after that we'll simply perform a pass. Now let's create a loop and spawn a loop that iterate through the server list variable that was holding the list of my server IPs, and append each server IP to the my group key that we have created earlier to be read through the Ansible. So the simple loop that will use variable as server in the server list is going to assign to my group the each value of the IP addresses, and simply that will be appended. If you want how the manipulation is happening, you would like to check the previous videos in the playlist. Now it's time to put some conditions behind on the argument from our argument parser. You remember we have used some variables for the parser, the argument, which we will use later. So the time for now. So the first is list. If a list flag is present in the command line argument, the server dictionary is output as a JSON formatted string. So it's nothing. We are simply dumping the JSON dumps and the variable which we are using, which we hold it in the last value. That is servers. Now, if we are not using simple list, in case we have a hyphen hyphen list hyphen host, the variable for that would be list hosts. And it will again dump the server dictionary in a JSON formatted string. And finally, if we have no condition matching, it will simply finish with count of the server retrieved. So it's going to print the length of what all values it retrieved inside that dictionary. So simple len, the variable servers, along with the list of my group and the hosts. And we are done with the scripting part. So now the time for R of truth and testing our script and see if it fixes any issues encountered. Quickly setting execute bit and execute with the Python 3 binary. Oh, it seemed in an argument passing, I mistakenly declared some parameter. I believe -c or -count is already there for hyphen list. Let's quickly go through the required section. And yes, I forgot to remove -c from other arguments as well. Let's try to fix that and try it. So we will simply remove that -c from here because it was only required for the count parameter. These type of errors you should be able to handle. The errors are always visible on the screen. It's just how we identify those errors. So this time strange error from the output it provided seems some issue with the AWS command, and even args is not taking as a valid argument while taking lastly added logic. So it appears some issue with the parser as well. So let's try to first see, okay, it's still not visible. Let's increase the head limit and say the 20 lines. Okay, parser is not closed properly and it seems, okay, let's execute the command again. And okay, it's again giving the same errors. So that means something is bad with the command itself. Okay, it's my fat fingers and the command should be describe instances. Pardon my fat fingers. Now we have a valid result now. Let me update in the code. And now let's test. Oh, that argument passer thing is still left. So let's close the argument passer argument and pass the command in argument pass to the script. So we will simply close it and put it inside a variable name args. This is the manner you should close your argument passer. Pass underscore args. So now we can test. Okay, we got a count without any options, and with the list, we are getting a JSON formatted output. Now validate the Ansible version over here. Let's see. Okay, first remove any available scripts that we've already placed for the testing purpose. So the inventory directory is pretty clean. Now, without placing a script, it's complaining of no available inventory source in the inventory location. Now, quickly copy the script inside the inventory location. Before that, let's first again revalidate our Ansible version and the configuration file it is picking. So it's reading from the inventory directory. So any file inside inventory directory is the key. Trying some Ansible command if return one server public IP along with the localhost information. Yeah, we got the results. Now time for more stress test. So let's try to add one more host and see will it break or it works seamless. Now on the AWS UI, we have two machines and quickly check the public IP, the received and validate same with our script. And perfect. Now we have the two IPs along apart from the localhost IP. Now what will happen if you try using any Ansible module on any of the above IPs? So let's pick an IP and maybe we can use a ping module. Any guesses what it will do? Okay, I'll give the answer. So it's just ensuring that what we can have in the inventory, but you may or may not have the access to perform actions unless you have the pre-required values. So how to do that? This will be another discussion topic. So thanks for being such a nice audience. Please, if you like our work, do like, share, and subscribe. Till then, take care and bye-bye.